You know, somewhere along the way I need to get a little bit better about planning this stuff out. I'm working on a 2013 Dodge Charger. Yesterday I changed the starter in it, and I did that because the customer burned it up trying to get this thing to crank up and run after putting a fuel pump, a throttle body, and a few other things on it. And after I got done with the starter, I went ahead and turned the fuel pump relay on with my scan tool to identify which one it was for sure. Then I went ahead and jumpered the contacts out, came around to the back, and felt the fuel pump and felt it was humming. So this morning I go ahead and go over there to the auxiliary side, take the connection loose, check for fuel pressure. There's no fuel pressure there, but the fuel pump is humming the whole time over here. So I come over here, and of course I feel it humming, and I go ahead and take this thing apart. And I've run into this many times before. If the fuel pump is humming but you don't have any fuel pressure on a brand new fuel pump, the wires in that fuel pump are in backwards. All you got to do is take them out, switch them around, and it'll work. Let's see if you can see that. You see that blue and black wire? I had to change the positioning of them. The blue one was up and the black one was down before. I went ahead and changed them. And now I can plug the fuel pump up, and lo and behold, we have fuel pressure. Don't want to do that too long because I got to take everything apart in just a minute and put it all back together. But this is another case of a brand new fuel pump with the wires installed in the incorrect order from the factory. Ain't that just dandy? Well, now I get to put this thing back together, and I might show you one more trick along the way. This thing was a little bit of a bear to do. You see, I got to get this one out of here. See if I can get that out. Well, I got that disconnected, so I can go ahead and get all my fittings loose and everything hooked back up the way it's supposed to be and cinched down in the hole. I'll be back later to show you a little trick about doing that. At least I think I will. You know me, I don't plan these things out so good. I'm just working and get the idea that you might want to see something and take a video. Now you can fight and carry on and frame and bam with a hammer and a punch and chisel and use all sorts of stuff and try to get this thing back together, or for that matter, getting it apart. But all you really need is a good pair of channel locks. Two of them are better, but I'm going to see if I can get this thing set up and show you what you got to do. Now we can see about doing something different with that stupid O-ring. Maybe I can keep a little bit closer eye on this one. With it being right up here, let's see about keeping it tucked in. Not seeing any green hanging out yet. Still no green. Still no green. We're getting close. Got probably just 2 or 3 more little tries here, and we'll get it snapped in. Got to adjust one time. Still no green popping out anywhere that I can see. Looks like we're just about there. Kind of funny that I'm doing this today. A good friend of mine, he's in Colorado. He's got an 07 Silverado, and the fuel pump went out on it, and he was talking to me through text and phone calls about how to put the fuel pump in and what you have to do. And he decided in the end it was easier for him to take the bed loose, which he did, and change the pump out with the bed being secured up in the air. And all that's fine and dandy, but he was putting the pump back in and he could not get this ring back on, and this is just about the same ring on this vehicle as it is on an 07 Silverado. And he called me, he said, "Steve, what in the world can I do?" He said, "I've tried everything. I've beat on it, I frammed on it, I did all this kind of stuff." And I kind of chuckled, and I said, "Well, you know, it's kind of strange. The last couple of years that I was in business, I was laying in the trunk of I think it was a Buick at the time, changing the fuel pump out, and the fumes were so bad I didn't want to be framming and bamming, and I tried the tool that I have for putting these rings in and out, and it just wasn't working. I couldn't get enough tension on anything. And then it finally dawned on me, if I could just squeeze these things together, everything would be all right." So I went ahead and I got my channel locks, and I got a pair of vice grips, and I worked it together. And I wasn't even thinking about the vice grips now. I probably should have put a vice grip on one side of it to hold it while I hold tension on it while I rotated it around. But anyways, he said, "I think I got some. I'll let you know back." And he called me back probably about 5 or 10 minutes later. Well, it was probably 10 or 15 minutes later, because he had to go round his tools up. He said, "Man," he said, "that trick was golden." And anyways, I was glad to help him out. Saw him the other day, and he said again that he was happy that I relayed that information to him. And I told him it's one of those things, well, I worked all my life and never thought about it. I just fought with a hammer and a punch and kept doing it that way, and then one day in that trunk it just dawned on me to squeeze it rather than beat on it. But anyways, about together on this thing. Gonna plug this pump in. And it's a back of humming. I'm gonna leave it undone there and go crank this thing up. Hopefully it cranks up now. Well, another problem. Well, I moved over to the passenger side for more testing, and we have approximately 61 psi coming out of the auxiliary fuel pump assembly. The auxiliary fuel pump assembly is on the passenger side of the vehicle, and it contains what is it? Basically a siphon back system that allows gas from the right side saddle to go back to the left side, and it also has the fuel pressure regulator built into it. Seeing how we're holding a steady 61 psi, I would say the fuel pressure regulator is okay.